Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome to our cozy little corner of the internet. I'm AP Calculus and today I'll be reading the second part of chapter 2 of Double Daro. Hope you guys enjoy. Several hours passed with the two lounging on Midoriya's bed. Several stacks of comics spread between them, as the green-haired boy tried his best to summarize the vast multiverse of comic knowledge down to its essential forms for his calico friend. Wait, so is the rat also a mutant? No, he's just a rat. The turtles are mutants, and he adopts them and teaches them kung fu. That makes no sense, Dare rebutted with a chuckle. I know, isn't it great? Midoriya agreed as he laughed along. They were having such a good time that they didn't realize the hour, nor did they hear Midoriya's mum coming home from work. When they were only made aware of her appearance when she rushed into the boys' room looking worried. Izuku, are you alright? I thought I heard. Inka went completely silent as she took in the second form, laying perpendicular to her son on his bed. Hey Mum, everything is fine, sorry to worry you. This is my friend Dare. Sorry, I've kind of forgot to tell you they were coming over today. We kind of made it last minute decision to go through some of my comic collection. Izuku shuffled awkwardly off his bed, clearly trying to suppress a wince that only added to Inko's suspicions and concerns. Inko still didn't move. Her eyes darted back and forth between her son and the kid with undefinable features, laying equally still on his bed, trying to figure out if he was a friend or a threat. It's nice to meet you, Dare, she offered politely. The kid smiled at her, and then slowly, as if to avoid scaring her, he moved off the bed as well, standing in front of her with a formal bow. Thank you. It's an honor to meet you, Mrs. Midoriya. Inka wasn't sure what to make of this. Her son hadn't had someone over before, much less invited them without a warning. They certainly seemed polite enough, but they had an unusual, everything. Dare was more of an alias than a name. Surely no one would actually name their child that, would they? She found herself feeling suspicious, despite the lack of a real reason. But Izuku had said this person is a friend. Were they the reason he seemed so much happier lately? If that's the case, then she should try her best to encourage this, right? Izuku had seemed so different lately. She was torn between worry and how tired he looked, and delighted at the happiness and determination she could see shining in his eyes again. Sure, the bags beneath detracted from the sight a little, but whatever was going on with him lately couldn't be all that bad if it returned her son's hope to him. She didn't ask what had caused the shift, fearful that the intrusion would scare off his good mood of late. She trusted Izuku to tell her when he was ready, and in the meantime, she resigned herself to just cherish the little smiles she caught on his face when he thought she wasn't looking. Was it Dare's doing? Was their new friendship the thing that gave her baby smile back to him? Only one way to find out. Have you two eaten yet? Would you like to stay for dinner? She asked. We haven't. I would love to as long as it isn't an implosion, Dare said with another small bow. It's no trouble, right, Mum? Izuku chimed in warmly. Well, if her son smiles like that at the idea of having them stay for dinner, then they must be a source of good. So, Inka let go of her early suspicions in favor of gratitude for this mystery person her son had befriended. It's no trouble at all. I'd love to have you, she said, matching her son's joy. Dare also smiled, loosening up some now that Inka had clearly warmed up to them. Would you Would you like some help in the kitchen? I could chop vegetables or wash some plates, the polite child offered. Nonsense, you're my guest. I appreciate the offer, though. She considered things for a moment before asking, any requests of what you would like me to make? Both Izuku and Dare spoke in unison. Katsudan, please. Realizing what they had both said, they looked at each other a little surprised before speaking again in unison, but in each other's direction this time. It's my favorite. You too? They were pointing at each other in a way that reminds Inko of a meme Izuku had shown her of Spider-Man online, both of their eyes sparkling at the realization of their shared favorite meal. Inko tried and failed to hide her giggle behind her hand in the doorway, both of their attentions snapping back over to her as she blushed at being caught laughing. Sorry, that was just really cute. That was just a really cute moment. Katsudan it is, then. I'll get out of your hair now, she said as she made her way back down the hall, happy for her son's happiness. Both boys blushed a little themselves at being called cute, but settled back down on the bed anyway. From there, it didn't take long for the conversation from earlier to pick back up, and the rest of the night went rather smoothly. Dare offered to sign Midoriya out of school tomorrow so he has more time to recuperate before being forced to face Bakugo again. He felt a little guilty for lying to both his mother and the school. Midoriya accepts on the condition that he could go to Dogoma Beach tomorrow instead and work on some mechanics and hacker lessons. Just because he can't train his body at the moment doesn't mean he has to stop training his mind. Dare can't really argue at that point, so he agrees. They ate a delicious home-cooked meal, spent some time watching the news with his mum, and then Dare wished them good night and headed home. As he readied to go to bed that evening, Midoriya revelled in the fact that ever since the first day they met, Dare had always managed to turn his worst mornings and turn them into his best nights. Midoriya couldn't help but feel a little guilty about skipping school, but the pain radiating from his barbecued torso reminded him why he was staying behind, and besides, it's not like he wouldn't be learning anything today. He also felt a little nervous. At some point last night, Midoriya made an important decision. He was going to let Dare read his analysis. Dare had asked to see it once, back when he first offered to teach him. And at the time, Midoriya hadn't really said no, but he didn't really say yes either. Now that he knows Dare a bit better, he was confident that it wasn't a trap, and that he has a genuine interest and wouldn't use the knowledge for anything particularly nefarious. So, Midoriya packed up the 3 most recent editions of Hero Analysis to the Future, minus the most recent, which he was still dutifully transcribing into a less burnt and soaked notebook, and headed towards his favorite trash heap beach. When he arrived, Dare slid open the door to his fan and ushered him inside with a smile on his face. Midoriya couldn't help but notice his smile was different today. His bottom lip was a bit wider and darker than it had been last night. He tried not to stare, he really did, but Dare still hadn't really told him anything about his ever-evolving appearance. He logically knew that it was Dare's quirk, but he had never seen him activate it in front of him, so he wasn't sure what triggered it or what its purpose was, and the fanboy within him really, really, really wanted to know more. Midoriya finally managed to peel his eyes away from Dare's lips to meet his eyes when he realized he hadn't actually heard any of what Dare was just telling him, but oh no, Dare had caught him staring. And now Dare was looking at him with a nervous expression, Midoriya's internal panic likely just as clear on his own face. He must think I'm so rude and creepy. Oh god, is he offended? Is he mad? Is he. Dare cut off his mental spiral by clearing his throat and talking as if they both weren't red in the face and avoiding eye contact. So, anyway, I had a few things I wanted to talk to you before we got started. Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. What did you want to discuss? I've got an idea for your first real project. Project? Yup. You've taken apart and put together your fair share of toasters and microwaves now. So I'd say you're ready to build something from scratch, wouldn't you? If you think I'm ready, then yes. What should I build? I'm thinking of a computer. Midoriya tried not to choke on his spit. That's. A computer's a big step up from a microwave, isn't it? Not really. There's all sorts of guides and stuff online. People build their own PCs every day. Besides, having a nice computer to work with will make your future projects easier, and you can program all sorts of extra protection that way. It's super practical. It's a super practical first project that will put all of your basics without you needing to do any actual inventing or out of the box troubleshooting. That's true. It'll be good for school too. Not to mention, Midoriya continued mumbling under his breath about all the practical implications of the projects and the future projects they could build off of this foundation. Getting more and more excited for it as he went on. That's actually the other thing I wanted to talk to you about. Dai said it was clear Midoriya would just keep mumbling forever if he wasn't cut off. What? Sorry, I got lost in my train of thought again. It's alright. I said that there's another thing I want to talk to you about. School. Oh, the entrance exam? It's still 9.5 months out. We have plenty of time. No, I meant your current school. Oh. Midoriya's stomach sank. He wasn't looking forward to talking about that place. Dare typed into his laptop for a bit and pulled up a website, motioning Midoriya to come take a look. The website was an online school accepting bright minds aged 10 to 18. You think you're going for that school, Dare? What? No, not me. For you. Midoriya furrowed his brow in confusion, but Dare just continued his explanation. I figured an online curriculum would give you a chance to get your middle school diploma from the comfort and safety of your own home. But also, this particular school offers pretty cool electives like programming and welding and stuff. I'm pretty sure it's meant for like vocational training, but if you signed up for them, it would give you a more legitimate surrounding origin story than telling people you're taught by some shape-shifting hobo. But what about. Midoriya wasn't sure what he meant the end of that sentence to be. What about his current school? What about the entrance fees? What about Kachan? What about them not wanting a quirkless loser kid like him tainting their roster? Whatever his concerns were, Dave just kept listing counterpoints as if reading his mind. I know it's kind of underhanded me, but I kind of already filled out your application for you already. Your grades all check out, but they do want you to fill out a little questionnaire and take an online exam to see what classes to put you into. I also kind of told them that you're doing some community service cleaning up the beach with me, so they agreed to let you in on a scholarship, which will cover most of your expenses, provided we send in monthly progress shots of you actually doing the cleaning, which should be no problem. Unfortunately, they don't offer full rides, so we'll need to figure out the rest of the fees. But I'm sort of broke, and I may be in the morally grey. I may be in the grey on whole legal moral spectrum, but I'm not willing to rob any banks for you. So it's going to be it's going to be the old-fashioned way, and by that I mean a part-time job somewhere. Now, it's not that I don't want to help, but technically, in the eyes of the Japanese government, I don't exist. So I can't get a job. Midoriya opened his mouth to ask about that little bombshell of information Dare just let slip about themselves, but he was once again cut off by his friend's excited rambling. I know it's kind of tough for quirkless people to find employment in this fucked up quirkless world we live in. So, I went to the liberty of doing a deep dive on all the companies with a better reputation for these things, and cross-reference them with places that were nearby, entry level, and currently hiring, and I found 3 possibilities, but this one seems the most promising to me. Dare handed over a small stack of papers as he printed off and tapped at the first page, featuring an application for a local hardware and electronics store. I know it is going to be yet another thing on your busy plate, but you're getting your hacking and mechanics lessons online now, so we can cut your training with me to 4 days a week. And the courses are all on your own pace, so it should be totally doable. The last page is a new proposed schedule that outlines some possibilities. Midoriya wasn't sure at what point he started crying, but him and Dare seemed to notice the tears at the same time. "Oh my god, I'm so sorry," Dare said with wide eyes as he grabbed hold of Midoriya's shoulders. "I didn't mean, you don't have to do any of this. It's too much. Of course it's too much. What was I thinking? I should have talked to you before about what you wanted before. I totally overstepped. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Just forget everything about that." No, it's just, you did all of this for me?" Midoriya wondered aloud. It must have taken Dare all night to look up all this information for him. Midoriya hadn't even asked him to. He hadn't even thought to ask, but Dare did it anyway. Yeah, of course I did." Dare sat down on his mattress and patted the spot next to him so Midoriya would follow him over. Once Midoriya had slumped next to him, Dare cleared his throat to speak again. You're ridiculously smart, dude. Like, ridiculously smart. And you're a quick learner. You're motivated as hell. You deserve a learning environment that's going to help you grow, not watch you suffer. That place is not good for you, but maybe this place will be. You can even come here for classes if you want. We can set up a little classroom somewhere in the refuge, and that made tears come even faster. Seemingly misinterpreting the cause, Dare pedaled back. Or, I mean, you'll probably just do whatever you want from home, whatever you want. Or if you'd rather say it out Dare, you can do that too. I just want you to be happy. Midoriya flung his arms around Dare in a tight hug. He couldn't hold back any longer. Dare tensed at the contact for a moment or two, but slowly relaxed and put his arms around Midoriya's shoulder, giving him reassuring little pats and rubs. Once he had a moment to compose himself, Midoriya pulled away from his best friend to look him in the eyes, to say, "Thank you." Dare smiled at him warmly and replied, "Anytime." "No, really, thank you for everything. I don't know how I could ever repay you for all that you've... Oh, hey, I just remembered. I actually have something for you." Midoriya dug in his bag for his notebooks and held them out to Dare to take a look. "I know it doesn't even really come close to start repaying the debt, but it's a start." Dare looked at the small stack of analysis books. Dare looked from the small stack of analysis books to Midoriya and back. "These are your analysis books? I thought you said you weren't comfortable with..." "Well, I changed my mind. You're my best friend, and I don't want to hide things from you, especially things that could potentially help you." Dare was silent for a long moment. Midoriya could almost swear he saw tears begin to form in his eyes, but if he did, but if he did, they were quickly swallowed back down. Dara chuckled a little under his breath and then took a hold of the precious books. Thank you, Izuku. I really appreciate your trust. And for what it's worth, you're my best friend too. I mean, that's probably pretty obvious, but you are. So thanks for that too. No problem, Dare. You know, you can call me by my first name too if you want, he said a little awkwardly. Midoriya tilted his head to the side in confusion. But your first and last name are both Dare, aren't they? How can you tell which one I'm saying? Dare smirked at him and raised an eyebrow. Oh, I can tell. Midoriya tried to fight back the blush he felt rising up his neck. Oh, okay, Dare. Now it was Dare's turn to fight off a blush. Yup, big difference. He mumbled under his breath before standing up off his mattress. Okay, so first order of business is going to be researching what kind of computer you want to build. And with that, they got to business, they spent a few hours researching and making a components list. Then they spent another hour prepping for the exam for his online courses. Then they filled out some applications Dara had printed out. Midoriya contemplated telling his mum about his change to school, but he didn't want her to feel pressure to help him pay the tuition. So, until he had a confirmed job in the works, he decided to hold off from telling her. If he told her now and later discovered he couldn't afford it, it would just make her feel sorry for him, and he hated that feeling from her. In the end, he never did go back to Aldera. Dara just kept signing him out for the rest of the week so they wouldn't risk Bakugo doing any further damage to him. As nervous as he was for it, Midoriya ended up scoring a near-perfect score on the online entrance exam, and he had an interview lined up at the shop Dara recommended. If all went to plan, then as of next Monday, he would have a new job, a new school, and really a whole new life. In 3 weeks since he met Dare, so much had gone wrong, but so much more had gone right. Midoriya was by no means a confident person, but he was slowly learning he wasn't hopeless or useless as others would make him believe. His training with Dare was going well, and things were looking up. Despite his better instincts, the first ray of hope was starting to shine through. Like a cat at the end of winter, he was happily basking in that sun. Bakugo Katsuki was the best. He had to be. His mother, hag that she was, had drilled that into him from a young age, that you can only be two things in this world, a winner or a victim. If you're not first, you're last, she would tell him whenever he fell short. Second place was never good enough. Near perfect score wasn't good enough. A tie or forfeit was a loss in disguise. He was going to be the number one hero, the youngest ever to achieve that title. He had to be. And he worked hard to make sure it happened. He trained every chance he got, blasted targets until his wrists creaked and dehydration dried up all his sweat. Developed muscle mass to counteract the blowback that no one his age had any business of having. Never ate any of the junk food or sugar that other extras poison their body with. Early to bed, early to rise. Running 3 miles every morning before the sun even rose. He even crammed his head with all the info he could and took every opportunity for extra credit to make sure he scored the highest on every single exam. By birthright of his miraculous quirk, he had the potential to excel, but that alone wasn't why he was number one. His quirk made him good. His work ethic is what made him the best. And that's why stupid fucking Deku got under his skin. The little freak spent all his time muttering and obsessing over other people's quirks and how he wanted to be just like them one day, but he never once put in the effort to make himself any better. He didn't have some amazing quirk to coast on. He didn't have a quirk at all, but he harbored onto these delusions that just wanting to be a hero alone was enough to make him into one. Like he could just show up to UA and be a hero. Like he was above all the blood, sweat, and nitroglycerin it took for Katsuki to be the best. Like he was better than him. It pissed Katsuki off to no end. He had tried, time and time again, to knock some sense into his muttering broccoli-ass brain. To tell him that he couldn't be a hero if he was weak and useless, cried over everything. To tell him to nut up or shut up. But the message was lost on him. He just kept making pointless, naive claims that he could be a hero too, and that he could be like him or like All Might. Stupid fucking Deku. He was going to get himself killed. His dumbass was going to show up to the entrance exam and get disintegrated in 3 seconds flat. And Auntie Inko would cry about it to his old hag, and his old hag would blame him for not doing enough to protect the weakling, as if he hadn't spent the past 10 years trying to talk him out of it. He was just dead weight, an extra thing he had to worry about that was going to hold him back to being number one, and he hated him for it. So yeah, maybe he blew up his stupid analysis notes or whatever, but it's not like any of those were going to do him any good anyway. And sure, he may have went a little harsh on the tough love from time to time, but so what? It was never any worse than the shit the old hag said to him when he started slipping. If he wanted to survive in this world, he was going to have to toughen up at some point. Better he got it in a controlled environment than some villain on the streets. Villains wouldn't stop if he started crying too hard. Villains would just straight up kill him. No one knew that better than Katsuki. Katsuki had come face to face with his first civilian and it killed him. It wasn't information anyone outside of himself, his parents, and the doctors were privy to, but he had flatlined for 30 seconds in the aftermath of that attack. He had trained for 10 years to be the best, and it wasn't enough to save him. That thing was slithering sludge down his gullet, and he was powerless to stop it. At that moment, surrounded by supposed pro-heroes, nobody made any moves to save him. They didn't have the right quirks, he heard them say. Pathetic. But Katsuki was no better. He was on his own. He always had been, and he wasn't strong enough. You let that thing get the drop on you? His mother asked with disgust. What good is all your training if a smelly pile of sludge is enough to overpower you? You need to be stronger than that if you want to succeed. She was right. Of course she was right. He still wasn't good enough. He had to work harder. He had to be stronger, tougher, scarier than any stupid villain could hope to be. Next time, he wasn't going to lose. He was going to win, whatever it took. He would rather stay dead than let anyone ever look down on him again. And then stupid fucking Deku, tiny, useless, quirkless Deku, had the audacity to say he was sorry for him. Him feeling sorry for Katsuki. That was the last fucking straw. He saw red and didn't stop wailing on him until his torso was as red as his rage-fueled vision. By the time his better judgment had a chance to kick in, he was already fucked. His teachers had always had his back before, but this was beyond a trip to the nurse's office. This was actual doctor-level injuries, and there's no way in hell this wouldn't end up on his permanent record. And when UA saw that, they'd turn him down for sure. Stupid, stupid, stupid. How could he let this happen? How could he let himself be bested twice? A villain is one thing, but Deku was going to be the thing to keep him from being a hero? From being the best? Fuck. What was that old hag going to say to him now? Dad wouldn't be able to talk her down this time. He was in for one hell of a fight when she found out. He spent the rest of the day on edge, waiting to be called into the principal's office, waiting for stupid fucking Deku to put the last nail in the coffin, but he never did. He didn't show up the next day either. No one else seemed to even notice he was gone. The brat disappeared halfway through the school day and never came back, and the only one even glancing at the empty desk was Katsuki. Which, with each passing day of that week, Katsuki's stomach tied into bigger and bigger knots. What if Deku was still in hospital? Just how fucking hard had Katsuki hit him? How bad had he burned him? He wasn't exactly in the right mind at the time, but Deku didn't look that bad when Katsuki left him. But maybe... No way. He was just worrying over nothing. Deku was fine. He was just being a fucking drama queen like always, probably crying and milking all his bruises so he could get the lazy and so he could get like the probably crying and milking his bruises for all he could get, like the lazy entitled prick he was. Days turned into weeks, turned into months. At some point he just accepted that Deku wasn't coming back. He should be happy about it. He was in trouble, and now he wouldn't have to waste his energy lugging his dead weight around all the time. On paper, this was the best case scenario for him. So why did it feel so wrong? Anger had always been the easiest emotion for him to come to, but this wasn't that. He wasn't exactly sure what he was feeling, but he knew he didn't like it. He hadn't seen or heard from him in months, but Deku was still finding some ways to annoy Katsuki through the cosmos. God, he hated him, but he's not going to let that stand in his way. Katsuki was going to be the best with or without Deku trying to drag him down. He had to be. He just had to be. Okay, guys, that was the end of chapter 2. I hope you guys liked that. That was awesome. But my eyes were tearing up from my bright lights and stuff. I don't really need bright lights, but like, it's just the aesthetic, I think. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, my eyes were tearing up and I was struggling to read like the last 10 paragraphs. Not sure if you noticed there, but oh well. Hope you didn't, but sorry if you did. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Next time we'll be reading chapter 3, the first half, I believe. I haven't read through this chapter, so I don't know if it's going to be 1 part or 2 parts, but we'll see. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed yourself. Make sure to take care of yourself, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!